Hey all, welcome to the talk show, Future of AI in Business. This is a talk show where I talk to business leaders, entrepreneurs, uh, leaders in data science, uh, any business that's solving use cases in AI. Today we talk to Puneet Jindal. Puneet is the CEO and the founder of Labellerr. Welcome to the talk show, Puneet. It's always fun to talk to you, and I get to learn so much from you every time I talk. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you, Vivek, for hosting me. It's pleasure always sharing
Great.
what I know.
Would love to understand from you more about your journey, right? Like how did you land up in AI, and after that how did you start Labellerr, right? And before that, probably for everyone, small pitch or an elevator pitch on what Labellerr is, so people kind of understand the context. Would love to know what is Labellerr.
So I think my journey will tell why labeler. So let me try to put my journey in some simple words, right? It goes back to say I started my journey with computer science graduation from Thapar University, and I went into job and my first job I kind of had imagined something else, and I realized that probably I was not doing what I wanted to do. And I wanted to see end to end things, and see the impact what I was building, and I was not getting that opportunity. And through a coincidence I met CT of delivery, Kapil Bharati, and he said that
Hmm.
we are very early, so they were in, I'm talking about 2012.
Oh
uh,
wow,
yeah,
that's
so
like they just started. They started in 2010 or something, right? If I
around 2011 you can say. Yeah,
so that's like
early
very
2000.
early from
Yes,
what it is today.
yes. I didn't
Mm.
have any ideas about what startups are. I just knew that I wanted to do something interesting, and I was trying to figure out. I said, let's try this as well, and I started my journey with delivery with the feeling that I can do operations, I can do tech. Though I was computer science graduate, so I was open to
Mm.
everything because I found some keen interest in e-commerce space, and and a company working on logistics for e-commerce was the best way interface
Right.
to everything what was happening in e-commerce, right, in India, and which made me interested about let's start reading the data in more detail. I got exposed while
Mm.
building the softwares, especially for fulfillment services at delivery. I got exposed to a lot of this data coming from various e-commerce, which are now unicorns like Flipkarts and Snapdeals, or Paytm and so on. And that some exercise that I did that got me interested towards analyzing the data.
Mm.
So getting into analytics of data was not an intentional journey. It was just
Mm.
happened by chance. And there I
Mm.
started looking into more of a BI stuff at delivery. And we started looking into
Okay.
problems like identifying theft. There was a lot of theft happening in the whole network. Shipments got misplaced, and I'm sure many
Yeah.
of us heard that someone ordered an Apple iPhone and they got a soap, right? So
Right.
we actually find out the root cause of that through the data. In a 6 month
Mm.
long process, we actually got to know with that. So that was my first large interaction with on how data could be used for very very useful purposes and can bring really really actionable outcomes. And then we
Mm.
solve problems like uh, how can we identify if whether a shipment would return before it gets delivered, right? So sort
Mm.
of which would save delivery, company like logistics
Yeah.
company like delivery would save a lot of money, right? And
Correct. Very
so
valuable.
fast forward, then I wanted to explore more opportunities in terms of different domains, not just e-commerce logistics, but let's say healthcare. Then I got into Library, and then I got into intelligent document processing like FSoft. FSoft is one of the leaders. Library is also kind of one of the leaders in terms of now as a startup in online healthcare space, and couple of more
Right.
companies. So that was one part of the my experience. Now, second element to this was uh, my exposure to analytics and data science at Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. There was a there was a
Hmm.
new there was a new program at ISB Hyderabad, and I wanted to go back to school somehow,
Ah.
and so that kind of became another opportunity for me where I met a couple of other folks in the batch, which were all seniors from me. So I had a huge opportunity to learn from them, uh, and great professors.
Course.
That was another sort of experience which made me further deep down in towards data science. And then all these adding to all of these made me start feeling that uh, what I can do is I can use my free time to
Hmm.
focus on the problems which I want to solve. So I found a
Hmm.
freelancing channel.
Interesting.
So I found a freelancing
Okay.
channel, uh, and I started picking up the problems where the problems are already defined. Because in data
Hmm.
science, in 2014 or 15, for CXOs or for even the middle management, the problem statements and how the value would come was very difficult to convince, because at that time data was not mainstream,
Right.
right? At that
Right.
time you had to even convince that okay, you should use AI and leverage data, your core data which is sitting in some silos, and you need to invest in there for some long term and short term benefits, right? So tools were not
Hmm.
very handy, and it took time. What is available or possible in a month now was not even possible in 6 months at that time. So that
Hmm.
was a lot of challenge
Correct.
you have to convince, but in that time leaders lose patience that okay, we cannot invest so long, we cannot wait for that, right? So freelancing was a way where the problems are already sorted. Okay, this is the
Hmm.
objective, this is what we need to build.
Very cool.
So
Right.
that was my I wanted to experience that. So there the problems were clear, and I primarily focus on picking up computer vision and NLP deep learning problems purely as such.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
So
Because of your interest or
yes, I started finding interest that I want to focus on unstructured data. Somehow I kind of
hmm.
align towards that. And
Sure.
now all of these experiences, and because I primarily work with startups like Delivery, like Library and all, to even enterprises like Walmart, uh, and then I worked with RateGain, right? Again, RateGain
Hmm.
recently did IPO, right? Uh,
Right.
Everywhere I worked under CXOs. So the CXOs were my
Hmm.
bosses. So kind of all these experiences coming together, working with CXOs, working in data science, freelancing on deep learning problems, with getting exposure to what's happening in already in US, right? Uh, Made my interest to identify a problem. The problem was
Hmm.
everywhere, whenever it was about unstructured data AI, the
Right.
getting the training data was the key problem.
Hmm.
So many of the
Right.
companies were solving already about structured data. They were trying to automate structured data AI problems,
Hmm.
but unstructured data was kind of something which was not being pursued as such at that time. It was a good to have problem at that time, yeah,
Ah.
or a moonshot problem. Anything related to computer vision was like a moonshot, uh, and I didn't see through that like this. And
Hmm.
all I knew is 80% of the data is going to be unstructured in the next decade, which is 21 to 30. Now we have already entered
Actually,
that
right.
decade. At that time, when I
Hmm.
was thinking in 2018, I knew that this is gonna be the large part of the problem. And if 80% of my
Hmm.
data is unstructured, and if I'm building my data AI on a data, then 80%, in simple words, 80% of my insights are gonna come by unstructured data, right?
Correct.
And this is something which made me focus on unstructured, AI. And now this is where I saw, okay, I cannot solve everything. Let me pick something which is not available there. And we picked up the data annotation part of it. Let's go step by step.
Got it.
And that's where Labellerr
Ah,
happened. That's where Labellerr happened,
cool.
right? So
Very,
this is the
very,
core
very
journey.
interesting
Yeah.
and very methodical, right? And I guess most of us just jump in because one, we are driven by want to do something. I don't know what it is, but I just want to do something. As against that, you know what? I've been in this space. I've seen through these problems. Let me pick one because I know this is for sure, and also this is going to be large in the future. And in that, let me focus on just one part of it, right? And then grow from there. Awesome. I think very, very nice. A lot of probably that's something that a lot of people should think through when they start up. Awesome. So I mean, if you had to give an elevator pitch for Labellerr, right? What would that be? What is Labellerr today?
Okay. So Labeller's focus is to help ML scientists get the training data in a most convenient, faster, and secure manner, while ensuring that they focus on their core model building process.
Mm,
That's the short version of it. Now, how they get the training data is the how part of it. Right? One, they might be having their own data. Second, they might not have the data, and so we can get the data collected for them. And the third, we can even generate the synthetic data for them. That's
mm.
in a nutshell. I think every ML scientist would feel, or data scientist would feel the same, that okay, this is the core part, 80% of their problem.
Right. And this is so nice because now data scientists and their time is very valuable. So they get to focus on their core versus, Labeler becomes this go-to platform where everything around this can be kind of taken care of by Labeler.
Right.
Awesome. I think great, great. So so moving on. It's been about 3 years since you started Labeler, right?
Yes.
Would love to know your journey, your learnings as a first-time entrepreneur, and how has the journey been, and how is it going?
Okay. Yeah, this is one of the questions at my heart because I'm a first-time entrepreneur, right? And then I'm an entrepreneur which probably not intended to start a startup. It was like it happened because I wanted to solve this problem. Right? It was more of a
Mm,
started as a sabbatical, and I didn't knew that I would pursue it as a full time thing, as a long term thing. So, but yeah, I think the situations made it that okay, I should pursue it if I really want to, solve it deep down, right? And so the journey has been that I just jumped into it, right? I'll start with my that I made a mistake, that I just jumped into it because it was my thinking that I should solve this, right?
mm,
One of the mistakes that early stage, first time entrepreneurs, especially coming from computer science or sort of education, right? We just think software is a product, what it is not. Software is just a piece of code which might not be useful. The important thing is, it
yeah.
useful for someone? Is it solving problems for a group of people who are willing to pay for it in a recurring manner or not? And
True. True.
is it really a pain, or it's a good to have thing? Or in other words, it's a painkiller, or it's a vitamin,
Or
right?
yeah.
So a lot of times we end up building, uh, I would say, vitamins focus products, right? Then painkiller. And
Very true.
somehow, because I was on the customer side myself, I was in a customer role.
Mm,
There was an element of hunch which kind of proved to be correct. The percentage of
mm,
part was proved to be correct. but how to solve it was something that it didn't figure it out, right? And the most important thing I learned on the way, uh, especially we got into this program called UPEKA. It's a program. It's UPEKA is a basically B2B SaaS accelerator for early stage
Right.
startups, and also a fund now as well, which focuses on value SaaS, where where you focus on capital efficiency and try to achieve
Mm.
product market fit, and then you plan
Mm.
how to grow, whether through VC
Mm.
route or it could be bootstrap route, continuously going bootstrap route, or get for exit and get your value out of it as a founder, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
whatever the outcome is, that the core fundamental is, let's focus on capital efficiency. Now, in that process, the most important thing is talk to as many people as possible,
Mm.
so that you keep on iterating on who is your ICP. And then once you identified your ICP, then do the problem extraction with them in depth to understand what are the real painful problems for them. So it's like find the problem and then find the solution for it, and while thinking in the problem domain.
Mm.
And what I was doing was I was trying to solve the problem. By solution. Okay, this is my solution.
Mm.
Where are the
Who
problems?
can I?
Yeah, who should I find, right? So that took time for me to unlearn, coming from a typical computer science education program, you know, at least what I have been through, right? So
Mm.
that was the unlearning. It was hard initially to understand, but I think Upekha made it easy for me to unlearn that process.
Very
Uh,
nice.
yeah. So and even moving back, looking even beyond or even earlier, the whole reason of getting into Upekha was that we were feeling that okay, we need to have a mentor,
Mm.
and we were just going all alone without a mentor. And I think
Right.
there were a couple of mentors, but they were not mentors from a business perspective. and
Hmm.
and again, the same mistake, right? You end up focusing more on software and not on business,
Yeah.
and that's a key element if you're doing a startup. That's the first thing that you need to focus on. So that's
Correct.
we were looking for a mentor who could actually mentor and provide us the guidance in right way, and
Hmm.
that's where I found Prasanna Krishnamurthy, who is the founder of Uteka, and his post, and which guided me a lot of which provided me a lot of indication that okay, we are going wrong somewhere, and that was the whole reason of applying to Uteka. So I think that's
Very
the high
nice.
level journey on how we have been. And in terms of
Great.
customers, uh,
Hmm.
just adding to this, the last thing is in terms of customers, we did some small projects in the beginning to keep understanding on how the experience is and what the customers are looking for. We did solve in NLP, we did solve in speech recognition, but from the last 2 years, we have recurring customers who haven't left us, who are continuing with us,
Wow.
and that's a good validation, and we've got testimonials from them. That's a good validation of on how they love us. So, yeah.
Nice. Very nice. I think key takeaways are, finding your ICP, right? The ideal customer profile, and solving the right problem. Uh, and then looking at your GTM, like how do you go to market and how do you scale that? I think great. And thanks to Pekka, and I'm sure there's a lot of value add. Now you guys are set on this right path. Now it's about kind of doing that, repeating that, and then rinsing it and then scaling that up.
There is a lot to
Awesome.
be done. There is still lot to be done, but we need to continue with the basics. That's the important thing.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so two questions from there, right? First is, in your journey, right, as a data scientist, working at some really cool, great respectable organizations, working on some really cool use cases, and now working with customers at Labellerr, right? What is that one top use case that comes to your mind in AI, right? Either that you've solved or you've come across that like just blows your mind, like amazing thing that AI could solve for business. Anything that you can think of, one that comes to your mind?
Yeah, it's difficult to say one. All problems are exciting the moment customers say that okay, it needs to be solved, right? Or they're already
Right.
trying to solve it. More importantly, but I think we can talk about one. I mean, one the most favorite of mine has been my experience while I was working with RateGain in travel
Hmm.
was around
Hmm.
leveraging AI for revenue management. And the second is what I'm currently focused on is the healthcare. Which one we should talk about?
I mean, whatever is your favorite. I mean,
Yeah.
go
So
for
so
it.
let me
Pick
talk
one.
about yeah. So let me talk about the healthcare now. Um, so we
Sure.
are primarily focused on medical imaging part of the problem, right? There is dearth of doctors um, across the
Correct.
world, even in India as well. And there is an key insight is that 30% of the time, the doctor's opinion varies when doing
Hmm.
diagnostics. And think
Hmm.
about it as a patient, if a doctor's opinion could vary 30% of the time, then
Wow.
I really need to go to a second doctor. Now, who would be that?
Right.
If second doctor can also, if as a human, right, my expertise is different across geography, across specialities, and so on.
Hmm.
You know, and what if there is a system which can become an assistive system to those
Hmm.
doctors, which can accumulate
Right.
dearth of information and an aggregation of all this expertise and can be replicated
Hmm.
across geographies and across specialities and across time and becomes better and better. And I think AI is the answer to that.
Hmm.
And this
Absolutely.
is this is where we saw a potential that okay, let's double down onto medical imaging part of it. Radiology is one, pathology is one, and then even further, problem is not so simple. It's not like you just build one model for radiology and that's done. Even different data types
Yeah.
and different specialities, the healthcare works in a very different way. You have
Correct.
to, all these are $1 million problems. Even alone one single specialty, let's say mammography, it could
Absolutely.
could be even one single uh, problem. But
Correct.
for us,
Correct.
and for us, important is the ones, the ML scientists who are actually trying to solve that radiology problem for a particular specialty. We need to make the data available for them.
Hmm.
And in healthcare, the even further challenging part is getting access to this data,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
And because it's
Absolutely.
not just like any other data which can be collected easily.
Correct.
There's
Correct.
a lot of challenges, right, with respect to
Absolutely.
patients' own data. I mean, data privacy, compliances, and whatnot. How to bring
Correct.
all that into a cohesive system such that that
Hmm.
data becomes accessible for them, so that they can focus on again
Hmm.
the building the AI and making it available in an easy to manner
Sure.
so that this can go to production. So that's where there are a lot of opportunities out there. It's not just one part of the problem. There are
Hmm.
so many parts to this problem which needs to be solved. And we are just even not even touched the tip of the iceberg as an industry. So this is one
Absolutely.
area of focus.
Nice. Absolutely. Um, Great. Coming to the next question, right, which is more exciting. For Puneet and for Labellerr, where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years? Like, what will keep you excited, and where do you want to take Labeler from here, and
Wow.
also personally for yourself?
Wow. So this is a very difficult question, interesting one, but difficult as well because the pace at which things are changing, the market dynamics are changing as is not just in 2 years. I mean, you imagine and
Yeah.
things are happening
Correct.
and a lot of things are changing, right? But let me try to attempt it. Uh, I think I look at it this way. Currently, the computer vision AI, which is
Mm.
the further one part of the focus area that we are currently focused on in next 2 to 3 years, is the current AI is more has learned to see but
Mm.
not understand. Look at
Yeah.
self-driving cars to anything
Correct.
or any right. All the models are currently focused on just detection primarily.
Mm.
On top of that, you have to manually encode domain heuristics knowledge to say, let's say, think about it as an example of autonomous cars. The car can identify the markers, the car can identify people,
Correct.
but the decision to whether to stop or turn or move left or right or anything
Yes.
is more of an encoded heuristics on top of that layer. So
Correct.
essentially, machines have learned to see but not learned to
Hmm.
understand. What would
Correct.
happen next? Need to happen next is they also start making these uh, decisions as
Hmm.
part of the vision process itself. Currently, it's a
Yes.
separate layer. How
Yeah.
to how to encode all of this domain knowledge into the AI in an easy manner
Hmm.
is the key problem, right? And to that extent, I think data centric AI recently kind of made more, I would say, mainstream by Andrew Ng by giving the example of AI in manufacturing would
Ah.
lead to more focus on, spending more time on data preparation part of the process and how to
Hmm.
engage domain experts in as part of the process. So
Hmm.
the tools will evolve
At scale.
in that direction such that domain experts as humans would be able to interact in much easy to manner with machines, such that machines will learn from humans, domain experts, and domain experts will get those feedbacks and again give provide better feedback, so that creativity and domain expertise could be transferred
Yeah.
in some way, right? And
Correct. Right.
from a labeler perspective, 5 years from now, we want to be a platform where we envision this platform to be a platform where ML teams, AI ML teams, particularly would be able to their build their AI solutions
Hmm.
for the part of unstructured data whenever it's about
Right.
unstructured data. So currently we are focused on computer vision, but in the time to come, we'll also include NLP. So anything
Sure.
related to unstructured
Any
data would be the
unstructured.
part of the platform. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. No, grand vision and much required, right? Because future, this decade is going to be like I think you said when we started off, uh, unstructured data problems in that domain are going to be huge, right? So unstructured data, right, is going to kind of take over multiple times structured ones because the use cases are going to evolve, right? Like real world use cases. So I think Labeler is well positioned to be there. I think great vision. um, so one last question, right, while we leave. uh, so any suggestions, learnings that you would want to share to one entrepreneurs and folks that want to get into data science, because this decade is going to be like last 2 decades were probably software getting into everything. this decade and probably next coming decades are going to be AI getting into everything, right? So you being a data scientist, you have having kind of probably started ground up and now an entrepreneur. Any parting thoughts, learnings for entrepreneurs, for people getting into data science?
I think one thing I saw as a common thing across, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's data science, or even something else, the most important thing is why are we doing this? Is to
Hmm.
solve someone's problems,
Yes.
and it has to be in such a way, and that problem would be important if it can be and to solve if it can be made sustainable. So the most important to identify all of this is talk to as many people
Hmm.
is the key mantra. um,
Right.
and because in that process is where you will get to know what is really need to be solved and what's not, right? And one book I would recommend anyone
Hmm.
is Mom Test. So
Uh, can
where
you repeat that again?
Mom's Test, Mom's Test.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
The
That's interesting.
it's named The Mom Test by Rob
Okay.
Fitzpatrick. Okay, and
Okay.
it's one of the best books written by someone who was not in sales, not in marketing, someone as a technical founder who wrote this from his very heart,
Ah.
where it focuses on telling on how should you talk with your prospects or customers so that you
Hmm.
actually get the right information rather than the noise, how to ignore the noise out of. So it's like, just to give an example, uh, how what are you doing to solve this problem would be more, would give you better information in comparison to asking them, would you do this, would you do that?
Ah.
I mean, if I ask today,
Correct.
if I ask anyone, would you do that? Everyone will say, oh, why not? Right?
Yes.
Versus, how are you trying to do it today? How has been you making an effort
Hmm.
to do that? Right? So it's like, so that's what I would say. Focus on talking to more and more customers, and uh, do the problem extraction in such a way that you get the only the valuable information out of the, yeah, extraction.
Awesome. I think a lot of gems today that you dropped. A lot of key takeaways. Great, and it was amazing talking to you. Thanks again for taking a time, and all the very best for the next, like you said, 5 years. Be that go-to platform for anything unstructured data, and be that support system for folks to focus on their core problems. All the best to Labellerr and all the best to you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Vivek.
Puneet.
It was nice talking to you, and it was a great opportunity.